right, guys, we are here today on the Marnie on the Move podcast with Dr. Gerry Curatola. He is a world-famous dentist, a game-changing, pioneering practitioner in the health and wellness space, and the author of The Mouth-Body Connection. Gerry, thanks for inviting me to your lovely library.
We're in the library.
Library.
Fireside chat tonight in the library.
This is a fireside chat.
Yes, we even have a toddy.
Yeah. This is a toddy. It's scotch.
It's scotch. Yeah.
Is that a toddy?
I don't know. No,
I
don't even know what a toddy is, but it sounds good.
So it's supposed to be sub-zero tomorrow in New York? Is that the deal?
I think it's getting there's a cold blast in, and it's below zero wind chills and yada yada.
Got it. Oh my God. I just got back from Miami, so where everybody thinks it's cold and 75 degrees, and
Exactly.
You're like, what? Like, you come to my place and tell me you're cold.
Exactly.
Well, it's so awesome. I'll edit all that out, but it's so great to be here with you today. And thank you for offering your expertise to the many of my athlete listeners who, like me, eat tons of gels, tons of bars, drink lots of sugary crap, and it's great for its purpose. But how are we supposed to take care of our teeth beyond simply brushing them? Like,
right.
How do we make sure our teeth are as healthy as our bodies?
Yeah, because you know what? When your mouth is healthy, a lot of athletes don't understand this, but when your mouth is healthy, you produce the microbiome of the mouth helps manufacture what are called short chain fatty acids, and those are anti-inflammatory to the body. So it improves athletic performance. As a matter of fact, it's a two-way street because a lot of healthy athletes have a very low incidence of gum disease. And gum disease is a source of chronic low-grade inflammation. And,
right.
It's devastating to the whole body. There's thousands and thousands of studies about how periodontal disease, gum disease, is linked to Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, pregnancy complications for women, premature low-weight babies, preeclampsia, all these very serious, and like 7 types of cancer.
Right, and that's all related to your oral microbiome.
Correct. So when the microbiome of the mouth is happy, you're happy. It's kind of like my marriage. It's like happy wife, happy life.
Right, yeah. I'm going to have another drink.
I know, right? It's the same thing. Happy microbiome, happy body.
Right.
Great athletic performance, more endurance, more strength, more resiliency, the ability to bounce back. So after doing a triathlon,
right.
you'll recover faster if you have a healthy mouth.
Right.
You will be able to go farther, longer, with a healthy mouth. And that's why I wrote the book, The Mouth-Body Connection.
Right.
Because a lot of people thought oh yeah, I work out, I try to eat well.
Right.
And I always find it really
and you're
ironic.
An athlete too, so.
Yeah, I've done triathlons. I love, exercise. I love athletics, but I always find it, you alluded to this, I always find it really ironic that there's so much unhealthy crap in the, even those sugar supplements and things like, the gummy, drinks and the bars. Oh my God.
The gels, the bars. Yeah. But it's not healthy, but there are some healthy options, but at the end of the day, sugar is important, like glucose
right.
is important. So how do you instead of saying oh, don't do that. I think a lot of athletes are trying to be healthier, but
right.
I
think there's better.
Yeah.
There are choices, right?
Right.
Choose this, not that.
Right.
That kind of thing. Do this, not that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what to do.
Yeah.
And how to really have because when you're doing a race and you need, your body's burning so much sugar. You're really and you could be depleted very, very quickly.
Right.
But if you're it's funny because if your microbiome of your mouth and your gut is healthy, you get the production of what I just said before, short chain fatty acids,
Right.
and these help your body to return to homeostasis a lot quicker,
Right.
or return to balance. So instead of going for the refined sugars,
Right.
what you really want to try and go for are healthier sources of that glucose, clean food, clean glucose.
Okay.
And what a lot of people get instead, and what a lot of these power bar manufacturers do, is they just pack all this crap into one thing that your body burns very quickly, and it spikes your insulin.
Yep.
You know, so you get this insulin spike, and then you crash, spike and crash. So the better than refined sugars
Yeah.
and crap that comes out of a bag is healthier foods and choices of foods to use, and even like during a race. So
Like honey or maple
Yes.
syrup are better than like fructose.
yeah, I
and,
mean,
yeah.
absolutely. And there are better, even maple. The body processes maple better than refined white sugar.
Okay.
And it doesn't. You need the glucose, but you don't want that insulin spike, that severe insulin spike. In my book, The Mouth-Body Connection, I actually have a diet in there that's based on this AAA. It's called the AAA diet: alkalizing, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant rich.
Right.
So those 3 A's are really important. Let's start with alkalizing.
Okay.
And when we exercise, we produce lactic acid, right?
Yeah.
So really, you need alkalinity to neutralize that lactic acid. So alkalizing foods like greens, like green juices and anything green, it's like, it's going to be more alkalizing.
Okay.
So I mean, I hate kale, but I just got so sick of kale.
Right.
Remember kale was like such a fad.
Yes. And then there was like all kinds of negative information about kale, and I think
So instead of kale, I always
yeah.
go for spinach in a juice.
Yeah.
And celery. Celery is just so good.
That's great for like a post-race recovery
Yeah,
drink.
that's like a recovery drink, exactly. And those are examples of alkalizing foods. Then you have anti-inflammatory, and a lot of people, have gluten as an inflammatory trigger for a lot of people.
Right.
Dairy.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of, another inflammatory trigger are like refined carbohydrates.
Right.
So you really want to go for a complex, less refined, less processed, in terms of being more anti-inflammatory. And then the third one is antioxidant rich.
Right.
And that's where all the vitamins are in there. So plenty of vitamin E, vitamin C, folic acid, all of these nutrients are essential because you're burning antioxidants, CoQ10.
Yeah.
So CoQ10 and vitamin C are burned like right away, especially when you're exercising.
Okay. So, in addition to, like I was just asking about teeth, but actually it's more about like your oral microbiome
Right.
and just having these things as part of your diet all the time so that your mouth can fight off any kind of issues, right? That could potentially happen from all the sugar that you're eating.
Yeah, and then I see a lot of athletes in my office that have all of these gum line erosions,
Okay.
And we'll talk about that because their microbiome. So the microbiome, when it's really thick and sticky, like you wake up in the morning and there's that thick sticky film on your teeth,
Right.
and we call it plaque.
Right.
It's really unhealthy plaque because there's always that film in your mouth when it's healthy is a thin, clear, odorless film.
Okay.
When it's unhealthy, it's thick, sticky, smelly stuff. But when it's healthy, we call it an LFT, low film thickness, and it doesn't smell. Your teeth still feel clean.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk about, what we can do to promote a healthy microbiome.
Right.
Besides nutrition. So I actually have 4 pillars of oral health.
Okay.
The first is, and it is to get rid of unhealthy oral care products.
Okay.
If it's fluorescent blue, it's not good for you.
Right.
And you walk down the toothpaste aisle
Yeah.
in a store,
Yeah.
and like everything's fluorescent blue.
Yeah. not
the
good.
mouthwash is fluorescent blue, the toothpaste is fluorescent blue, and it's like, it's funny because one of the manufacturers, not Colgate, Crest, Procter and Gamble, manufactured a product called Crest Sparkle, and it was fluorescent blue.
Hold on, I'm gonna cough.
Okay.
Edit this out. All right, I'm better.
So
Fluorescent blue. It's
yes,
fluorescent
blue. So one manufacturer, Procter and Gamble, manufactured a product called Crest Sparkle. It was fluorescent blue. It was bubblegum flavored. Oh, yum. And it was had sparkles in it. And children were swallowing the toothpaste. And you say,
Right.
well, what's wrong with swallowing toothpaste? Sodium fluoride is a toxic halide chemical. And I never knew this fact, and I've been on the anti-fluoride bandwagon for a long time because it's funny, they brainwash dentists and dental hygienists and dental students. They brainwash you in dental school.
Right.
And they start to call fluoride a nutrient that the body needs. It is not a nutrient. Fluoride is a mineral, okay?
Yeah.
And it's in broccoli and other vegetables have natural fluoride in it. But this whole idea of dumping an artificial, synthetic, hazardous waste chemical into the water in the interest of public health
Right.
is pure junk science.
Okay.
And the reason it's junk science is because it doesn't really do anything to prevent decay. And that's been proven. Drinking fluoride water does not prevent decay. So I see these people going, oh, is there fluoride in the water? And I'm like, what do you think? And actually, I think Nestle came out with a plastic water bottle. We're going to talk about water bottles.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
Because there's so many things that athletes need to know
Yes.
that they are completely unaware of and unconscious of. And, it's put out there as like health products,
Yeah.
and it's junk. So let's separate the wheat from the chaff tonight, Jeff. And let's talk about, for example, drinking fluoridated water. Not only is it does not prevent decay, it's linked to kidney disease and cancer and all these other things that are, it is a toxic halide chemical. So everyone should know that in New York City, where we are tonight, the fluoride they dump in the water supply is hydrofluorosilicic acid. It's an industrial waste from aluminum manufacturing, phosphate fertilizer manufacturing, and also uranium enrichment. So they all make this toxic byproduct. It's an industrial waste. They used to dump it in the ground, and it would kill, plants and animals, and there would be cows in a field that would die from fluoride being dumped from a nearby, manufacturing plant.
And so you're saying it's in our water in New York City?
Well, there were these studies that showed that fluorine, by the way, fluoride's a made-up word, fluorine, basically when you introduce it to the body, whether it's in a toxic industrial waste or it's in sodium fluoride or anything, fluorine converts your teeth and bones from hydroxyapatite, which has some flexibility, to fluorapatite. Now, how important is this for athletes? Well, hydroxyapatite has some flexibility. So if you have a fall in a race, you're not going to break your leg.
Right.
But if you have fluoridated, or what we call skeletal fluorosis of your teeth and bones, it's like glass. It's like your teeth and bones are made of glass. So if you fall, you're going to break your leg. You're going to break your hip. You're going to break your arm.
And that comes from having a lot of fluoride or fluorine.
Right. And so what are the statistics now for people who are overexposed to fluoride? 62% of children have a condition called fluorosis. It is excess fluoride. Their teeth turn colors. They get white spots on their teeth. They get discoloration of their teeth. And by the way, your bones look like that too.
Okay.
So that kind of funky mottled look happens to your teeth and bones. And the other important fact about this is, these children, 16% of those 62% have severe sclerosis. This is way too much fluoride, and that's where their teeth need to be capped or veneered, and they need expensive restorative dentistry, and it also puts their bones at risk, and they get something called brittle bone disease.
Okay.
So fluoride is a major issue if you're an athlete.
Because you don't want to be in that position.
You don't want to be in a race with teeth and bones that are like glass.
So what kind of toothpaste should people be using? I mean, obviously, yeah.
I did 20 years, by the way. I want to get back, if I can, I'm going to back up.
Okay.
I want to talk about Crest Sparkle.
Okay.
And how really unknowingly, hopefully, but it was diabolical, children were found dead on the bathroom floor. Fluoride fatalities in children went up 280% from them eating the toothpaste with sodium fluoride.
Okay.
So there's enough sodium fluoride in a conventional tube of toothpaste to be fatal to two children under 5 years old.
Like they both ate the whole tube together.
Like they could share it and two of them would die. There's enough fluoride to kill two kids under 5.
So we should not be using fluoride toothpaste, period.
Right.
Going and getting cleanings at the dentist and using fluoride.
Well, they give you, let's give you a fluoride treatment.
Right, no.
Let's give you a fluoride
gotta
treatment.
say no.
Say no to the fluoride treatment.
Yeah.
Okay, it is really the best way to prevent decay is nutrition, starting with.
Yeah.
Nutrition, proper health. I was talking about the 4 cornerstones of oral health. The first is what I say, eliminate harmful oral care products.
Right.
Alcohol-containing mouthwashes, fluoride toothpaste. So many fads in dentistry, especially with toothpaste, that come up, and then oil pulling and this and that and everything. And the reality is that, like, for example, oil pulling. Oil pulling is an ancient Ayurvedic practice using sesame oil, and it is a 20-minute practice. And they used to do it to remove toxicity.
Right.
And that's, what are you doing? You're stripping the microbiome. And if it's unhealthy, like I tell people, if you want to do oil pulling, it's meant to be a short-term thing.
Right.
So if you see your gums are really puffy and inflamed, okay, oil pulling can help. But if you do it as a daily practice for the rest of your life, you're going to strip the microbiome, you're going to have brittle, fragile teeth, and it turns the microbiome from a thick, scary jungle into a Sahara desert.
Okay.
So, what do? You want to use a toothpaste that does no harm. And what I did 20 years ago, I was doing research on the oral microbiome.
Right.
And I found that when we biopsied gum tissue that was unhealthy, it was deficient. The biggest deficiency was vitamin C.
Okay.
And then the other deficiency was this, it's really not a vitamin, but it's a cofactor in the manufacture of ATP, and it's coenzyme Q10, CoQ10.
Right.
And it's a great nutrient, a really great nutrient that helps to, what CoQ10 does is it helps produce ATP.
Okay.
So it supports the Krebs cycle, production of ATP.
Right.
The
and
more you run, the more races
ATP
you run, the more ATP you run. You burn. So what I saw was really important in an oral care product was something that was loaded with vitamin C, loaded with CoQ10, loaded with vitamin E, vitamin D3, K2. D3 and K2 are the calcium gatekeepers for strong teeth and bones. Yes. That's what you want.
Okay.
Not fluoride.
So I know that, obviously you have your own brand of toothpaste, Revitin, which is great, which I've been using. But everybody can buy it. They can go to the website and get it.
The one thing I want to tell you, and I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But I want to tell you, one of the biggest things that I wanted to do, and I had been doing a program at Harvard Medical School at Complementary and Alternative Medicine. And they were talking about fluoride and the toxicity of fluoride and all that. And then they were talking about how toothpaste had a poison warning. So I was there, that they were in the process of putting, that the FDA was in the process of putting a poison warning on toothpaste because sodium fluoride can be fatal to children under 5. So in 1998, the poison warning came out on toothpaste, keep out of reach of children.
Right.
I'm like, keep out of reach of children. They're brushing with it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
You know,
so many people don't know about this.
Use under a parental supervision, and if more than a pea-sized amount is swallowed,
Yeah.
like the parents have to watch that they only have a pea-sized, contact poison control right away. So the first thing I wanted to do was make toothpaste a nutritional product, and I wanted something that kids could eat and swallow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could take this much toothpaste. By the way, it's a pea-sized amount.
Yeah.
And
You ate some toothpaste. Yeah.
I just had a dietary supplement of vitamins that was in the form of a toothpaste.
Okay.
That's what it should be.
So what is it that's cleaning your teeth? So, you know, people are so mentally embedded in fluoride and they think if it has fluoride, it's cleaning your teeth. But what is
Fluoride
it?
does not clean
Okay.
teeth.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, fluoride does nothing to clean your teeth. I mean,
Yeah,
this is the kind of
it like diminishes your teeth.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how junk science builds all of this,
Junk
mystique.
science. I love it.
Yeah, it's junk science. It's like
Yeah,
junk
so-
food, junk science.
So what is helping your teeth and your oral microbiome in the toothpaste? Everything.
So fluoride actually is it can be irritating to the gum tissue, and it does really. The whole concept behind fluoride is it's very highly reactive.
Right.
It's the most highly reactive, non-radioactive element on the periodic table.
Right.
So what it does is it rapidly turns your teeth from, as I said, hydroxyapatite to fluorapatite. Fluorapatite is about 33% weaker than your natural teeth and bones.
So it weakens your teeth, basically.
Yes.
And destroys your microbiome. And so, as an athlete, when we started this conversation, I was talking about the gels. Like this weekend, I did a half marathon in Miami, and I had 2 packs of chews that, it was all sugar. It was crap, right? But I was trying every 15 minutes. I was doing this, and then I had to. I was thinking about, first I was terrified my teeth were going to fall out because I always have, some issue. And they could fall out because you're, chewing on these chewy things that stick to your teeth. So that's another thing to be mindful about. But, and then I have, I'm drinking from a water bottle and I'm so nervous I'm going to, accidentally, jab into my front teeth, which are already broken. So, and I'm not the only one.
They look beautiful.
They do.
They're much better.
They're much better. But, I'm not the only person that's doing this, right? There's athletes that are doing Ironman races. There's,
I see a lot of
ultra marathons.
I see a lot of it, enamel erosion.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that right now, by the way. What happens to your mouth when you do a marathon? Because it's not, I hate to say this, but it's not healthy exercise.
No.
Because you're driving your body to extreme, right?
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful endurance exercise.
Right.
So it's definitely challenging you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So the challenge is part of why I love to compete. The challenge to me is just knowing that we can make it, we can do it. There's so many great things that endurance fitness can offer.
Right.
But it is very, very heavy burden on your body.
Yes.
And especially your mouth. Because what happens when you're in a marathon? What will happen is you are, you're going from parasympathetic mode of your nervous system,
right,
which is kind of relax, regenerate, and that's the recovery. But you're in sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight, and it's flight, if you're challenged to do a marathon. So in that state, saliva dries up. Saliva is the lifeblood of your teeth. So if you are dropping the level of salivary production, which is what happens in sympathetic mode, your teeth are not bathed in these nutrients. And if you're training, for example, during training, I always tell people during training, you really have to use the right supplements, because while you're training, let's say you're
Yeah.
building up, you're doing a 10-mile run, 15-mile run, you're building up for a full marathon or a half marathon. The reality is you have to prepare and protect your body as well, which starts with your mouth.
And so your mouth turns into a desert, and you're drinking water and you're eating the sugar things.
A lot of bottled waters have an acidic pH, which is crazy. People crave all kinds of things like they like. Let's talk about carbonated water.
Right.
Oh, it's just water. It has a little fizz. I love it. My Perrier. The reality is that turns to carbonic acid in the mouth, so it's going to demineralize your teeth. So the reason I see athletes with gum recession, with chipped teeth, teeth that are eroded, gum line cavities, are all of the things that you already alluded to a little bit.
Yeah.
The sugary, chewy bars.
Yeah.
Or gels, right?
Yeah,
Those gels.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the gels, and they just plow it in there. A lot of it is acidic. You were talking about waters. There's a lot of waters that, like Poland Spring, and they measured pH of water.
Yeah.
And it is on the acidic side.
Yeah.
In terms of pH. So you really want to make sure you're alkalizing, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant rich.
And should you also bring your toothpaste with you to the race and brush your teeth in the bathroom?
This has CoQ10 and vitamin C. Bring your Revitin.
I feel like, and also just, people are training and practicing with this stuff. So
I think we need to do a big thing with Revitin in the Hamptons this summer.
Yeah, at Event Power. Yeah, you should give it out. You should just
the Mighty Montauk and all that. We have tubes for everybody. Because it'd be great. You can actually use this as a gum mask. Rub it on your gums and leave it on.
Yeah.
So
put it on before you
It's
take
a protective gum mask,
Oh, that's a good idea.
You can swallow this.
How bad is the chlorine in the pool for your teeth?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Good.
This is the shit I think about when I'm swimming. Because I start to think oh my God, I'm in the pool and I'm so thirsty and my mouth is so dry and I don't do well in the chlorine, but I'm in there for an hour, 3 times a week, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm sure I'm doing something to my
Chlorine is a
teeth.
very intense chemical, and it sucks for the whole body.
Yeah.
So you really, but believe it or not, there's a lot of hydrochloric acid actually was a COVID killer, and it's a great antiseptic and all that. So in a small amount, chlorine disinfects and does that, but when you're swimming in it and the levels are off and the pH of the pool is off, that's when you're going to have problems.
The fumes get into your mouth.
Oh, it's
right?
the fumes. It's so toxic. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't really, try to swim in salt water,
Yeah.
or a bromine pool.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about, as, I had that accident this summer and came into your office and I was like, oh my God, and I know there's so many athletes also that fall off their bikes and smash their teeth and they have to go to the dentist and get all kinds of reconstructive mouth surgery.
We should do a whole thing on dental first aid for athletes.
Well, yeah. Well,
what do you do when you knock out a tooth on a race? What do you do?
Just try to find the tooth and bring it back to the dentist. Can you save your tooth, do you think?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is if you had an avulsed tooth in a race, the best thing you could do is keep it, wash it off gently. Okay, because there are tiny fibers there that are still alive, and the best thing to do is put it in between your cheek and the side of your teeth.
Okay.
Just keep it in there and run with it in there. Don't take it out and put it in your pocket. Keep it in the oral environment.
Okay.
So it is you're going to have a much greater chance of the tooth being replanted, and then you losing the tooth completely. If you keep it in there, there's an old thing where you put it in milk, you put the tooth in milk.
Is that real or no?
Yeah, so actually the best would be saline. Or just keep it
in your mouth.
if you're running or if you're close to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm I don't know.
And you want to finish the race.
Yeah. Or I was saying, sometimes you're eating one of those chews, those gelatinous chews, and then it sticks to like one of your teeth.
It pulls out your crown, your filling.
What do you do? Do you keep that in your pocket? You like try
Well,
to
yeah, a loose
salvage it?
crown, a loose restoration is something
Yeah.
different. I'm talking
Okay.
about
Like an
the
actual
tooth.
tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're on your way to the dentist and you knocked your tooth out, the best thing to do is keep it in your mouth.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like, they knock their tooth out and they pick it up and they wash it off and they stick it in their pocket, or like, and then, the ligaments will die and the tooth will devitalize.
How
But
long?
you have a greater chance of, well, pretty quickly if it desiccates. So desiccation, drying the tooth,
Yeah.
is very harmful. You need to keep the tooth bathed in an ionically balanced solution. The best thing is saliva.
Okay.
Saliva is the lifeblood of the mouth.
Is there something that exists that's like a little container that
Yes.
you bring with you?
It's funny you say that.
Okay. Because
There's
I'm going to
something
get
called,
one and put it in my race
if
bag.
you go, I think it's called Save a Tooth.
Okay.
Save a Tooth.
Yeah.
It's like a first aid container for a lost tooth.
Oh my God.
But I mean, you're
Wow.
not going to do the race with a Save a Tooth container in your bag, are you?
Triathletes might. You never know. I mean, you really
Right.
never know. But yeah, that's funny that you.
Yeah,
do
there is
that.
something called Save a Tooth. Somebody thought of that.
Do you think it's helpful if you do kind of brush your teeth immediately after you finish your training session or a race?
Okay, so a few things. You were right on with what you were saying. So many of those bars and gels are junk.
Yeah.
So there are some healthy ones. Read the ingredients.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's so many of them out there. Read the ingredients. If there's a lot of corn syrup, refined sugar,
Yeah.
a lot of artificial crap, obviously go for the products that have more natural sugar. Agave, although agave can spike blood sugar too. It's not as bad as cane, raw refined cane sugar.
Yeah.
So maple, better sweetener is maple.
What about honey?
Honey is better.
Okay.
Actually, Manuka honey has so many medicinal properties.
Yeah.
These products, a lot of these products should use more Manuka honey.
Yeah. As opposed to like fructose and.
Yeah. And
Sucrose
artificial
and-
sucralose.
yeah.
Then they have artificial stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
yeah.
A lot of garbage in these healthy fitness wellness products.
I think some companies are trying to improve on that.
Absolutely.
But I wonder why, sometimes it's just so impossible for them. I don't know if
I've
you
seen
use
it.
sugar in like the simplest form,
Yeah.
but I just want to like finish the race. It's kind of like when you wake up in the morning and like if you don't brush your teeth before you have coffee, it's like you have to brush your teeth before you have coffee. So it's like, if you're going to go and eat 12 gels and drink, noon hydration and all that stuff, like
Right.
when you're done, get that
Right.
shit off your teeth.
Absolutely.
It's already-
Red Bull,
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar industry
Yeah.
on a caffeinated beverage that is full of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. So I think for all my athlete listeners, just like a recap, I mean, obviously we all should try to use healthier nutrition, but if we can't, then
Make smarter choices.
Yeah.
And make sure you stay high. I mean, these are so simple. These are
But
almost
the
trite.
simplest
But
things.
people don't realize. Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So, and what happens during endurance fitness is that you are burning a lot of your body's burning a lot of energy, right? So
Right.
your glucose is being burned up, and so you want to keep your glucose levels up without spiking it too much. Go for the more complex sugars,
Right.
which are harder to break down,
Okay.
and they're not just burned up like spike your insulin and then they're gone.
Right.
So it's up and crash. You really want to have something that is going to burn over a steady period of time, like kind of
Yes.
an extended life battery.
Yes. That's the goal.
Yeah,
It's just finding
that is
that
the goal.
product.
Yeah, and there are companies, that more companies are moving in the direction of understanding what those needs are,
Yeah.
and that there are more people competing, there are more athletes coming onto the scene
Mm-hmm.
that are conscious and educated about nutrition.
Yeah.
And so they know how to sniff out, the garbage.
Yeah.
That
That's
says
awesome.
all natural.
Yeah.
There can
No.
be all natural garbage too.
So do you think that people should like brush their teeth or like bring some kind of like something like a rinse or something that doesn't have fluoride in it to the grease, or is that helpful, or it's just
Mouth rinses, I always find mouthwash to be such a joke, and I have a do-it-yourself mouthwash in my book that is better than anything on the market.
What's in it?
Well, it has a lot of. It's interesting, I have a very simple mouthwash we use in the office.
Yeah.
That has a pinch of Himalayan salt, a couple of essential oils, a pH balanced water.
Okay.
And that's it. So there are essential oils that are good for your mouth and essential oils that kill everything. Peppermint kills everything.
Okay.
I have a peppermint spray I use to kill bugs on my tomato plants in my organic garden.
Okay.
So peppermint kills the microbiome, it kills everything.
So that's
It's really
good.
Yeah, tea tree oil kills everything.
Yeah.
Tulsi oil kills everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of the mints do that, but there are certain mints like spearmint, not as much. Wintergreen is not good for pregnant women, but wintergreen oil is not as antimicrobial as peppermint oil.
Okay.
Peppermint oil, and that's what most toothpaste is peppermint.
Okay.
Most mouthwash is peppermint.
And you don't
You're
want
like,
to kill
"Ooh,
your microbiome.
I get that cool breath smell,
Yeah.
cool breath smell, but you've just nuked your microbiome.
And that's like the idea is not to do that.
No, you
Right.
want to make peace with your microbes.
And then in terms of like,
And everybody should know that, Marnie.
Yeah.
Make peace with your microbes, because the microbes in the mouth actually manufacture short chain fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory and help with athletic performance,
Right.
and your cardiovascular system, and the production of nitric oxide. So the bacteria in your mouth produce nitric oxide.
Okay. That's awesome. So you want to keep the bacteria in your mouth.
Correct.
But you don't want sugar hanging out on your gums.
What you want is a happy, balanced
Yes.
microbial flora of the mouth. It protects you, it keeps you alive. It's as important as a coral reef protecting an island.
Got it. That's amazing. That's a good analogy. I like
Yeah.
that. Because, that is also...
Because we were brought up, Listerine, kill germs on contact.
Yeah.
Kill germs. Oh, the bacteria in the mouth are germs, you gotta kill the germs. Until, the Human Microbiome Project, launched by the NIH in 2002, it was like, oh, wait a minute, there's 10 times the number of microbes in and on our bodies than our own human cells.
So, sugar is bad for your teeth, but you want to keep your microbiome healthy. So you've got to get all that sugar crap off.
What does sugar do? Sugar produces an overgrowth, an imbalance. You don't get decay because bacteria eat your teeth. Which is like the analogy they used to use. You do not get decay from bacteria eating your teeth.
No.
You get decay by an imbalance
Okay.
in this community called the microbiome.
Got
It's
it.
not one bug, but an imbalance. So what happens when you eat sugar? You get an overgrowth of what we call acidophilic, acid-loving bacteria. Strep mutans
Okay.
are acidophilic. They live in your mouth. Streptococcus mutans bacteria. Like in dental school, we were taught these bacteria would cause decay, and the reality is that they live peacefully in a balanced microbiome. When you get them excited with dumping a cannoli in your mouth,
Right. Yeah.
or a sugar bar, a power bar,
Yeah.
you get those excited, they're going to overgrowth and tip the balance.
Got it.
So it's this loss of what we call microbial homeostasis, or balance of the bacteria, that causes a shift that allows an overgrowth of certain bacteria. And then what they do, they go from benign to flipping a pathogenic switch,
Right.
and kind of ganging up on teeth and your gums.
And then you start to get cavities.
And you get cavities,
Yeah.
and you get red gums, and all this other kind of funky stuff.
Right. So I think this is super helpful. I mean, I think, for athletes that are listening, because that was the goal today, athletes.
Yeah, and I think that there's very little education I mean, there's
There isn't.
education about endurance. There's education about muscle fitness. There's
Right.
education about
Nutrition,
your gut,
diet. Yeah,
gut.
your gut.
You hear a lot about the gut, and how to take care of your gut. But there's very little that athletes know about what to do. Well, for example, the kinds of injuries that you have in triathlons are people like you getting thrown from a bike,
Mm-hmm.
and you have and
I've
and that was
Dr. Gerry
traumatic.
Curatola on speed dial. So this is
I
my
know.
takeaway: is like you should have your dentist on speed dial.
Right.
And you might want to use a hockey guard in your mouth when going
Well,
on a bike ride. No,
yeah,
you can't do
that's
that.
actually an interesting point. I make a lot of athletic mouth guards, and there's about 7 different types with different thicknesses and different things for different sports.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like kickboxing has one type, running is going to have another type.
And also, like,
volleyball will
when
have
you're
another one.
running, I notice that, like, sometimes I'll push my tongue into my front teeth.
Right.
I don't know if I notice that more because I'm hypersensitive now, but also I think people like hold
The
their
reason,
teeth
well, the
together,
reason
too.
you do that,
Yeah.
that's a very interesting point. Why do you push your tongue forward when you're running? Because you need more oxygen. How do you get more oxygen? Move your tongue away from the back of your mouth. Because
Got
your
it.
tongue in the back of the mouth is like a rubber stopper in the neck of a wine bottle. Because your airway is there,
I didn't
and
know
that's
that.
the neck of the wine bottle, right?
Interesting.
To get the air into the bronchus of the lungs, into the lungs themselves, so it's interesting, you instinctively move your tongue forward, which is actually a healthy tongue position. And that allows you, when you're breathing, to get more oxygen into your lungs.
Yeah, I only noticed these things in the last 6 months because I like
Really good.
I've been thinking about all the things that happen to my teeth while I'm out having fun on these adventures, which are mentally healthy.
Yes.
But I know I'm like, destroying my teeth. So I'm trying not to, but I have a hyper awareness around
Yeah, I
it.
mean,
And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
I love the whole experience of a group race of people. Like, there's just like a very good vibe.
Yeah.
And you feel good, and you're thinking, wow, I'm doing something really great, and my body is like going to the limit, and I'm doing all this great stuff. But a lot of times people don't know the flip side, or the shadow of that experience,
Yeah.
is that you could be harming your body.
Yeah.
And you need to do certain things the right way to prevent that.
Right. Like have good nutrition all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I mean, I think that, my athletes will probably see more of you this summer. What the fuck is wrong with me? My athlete listeners will see more of you this summer. This has been awesome. Yeah, is there anything else that you want to add? I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff, but
my mantra, be true to your teeth, or they'll be false to you. Now, that's the last piece of advice. No, I mean, I really think that there are 3 important things to take away here.
Yeah.
Right? The important things to take away is competing is great. There are so many benefits of being in a competition, and we talk about mentally, emotionally, and the physical, the endorphin production, all the things that we love that make us feel great. But be smart, stay hydrated, avoid the junk, keep a clean diet outside of that. But another thing that's really important is, and I don't know, if you've had anybody talk about that, but controlling stress. Okay.
Yeah.
So, meditation and yoga are a perfect balance to doing a triathlon.
Right.
And by the way, when you're in meditation and when you do these types of things to help propel the body back into parasympathetic mode, which is the regenerative state of the body, it's a restful state. It's a perfect counterbalance to the fight or flight of sympathetic mode when you're in the competition.
Yeah, agreed. Meditation and yoga.
And I see a lot of people, they train every day, and then I don't see them taking the downtime.
Yeah.
Like my son-in-law is a marithoner.
He is.
And he's go, and then he's like eating sugar and, donuts and this and that, and then, and the reality is that it would be better not to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, but to take time to feed your mind, feed your spirit, and feed your body what's good.
I have to say, yeah, and I have to say that, like, in all of my years of doing half marathons and the marathon and triathlon, I've always practiced yoga, and I actually stopped for a couple of years, and my body sort of fell apart. But it was I didn't realize how essential it was to
Absolutely.
me having that longevity in sport. But I'm back to practicing, so it's good.
Yeah, that's great. And
Awesome.
So I think the key word to take away from our discussion
Yes.
is listen to your body, but always promote balance.
Balance. is
Right? I talk
everything.
about balance
Yeah.
in so many ways. Balance of the microbiome.
Yep.
You know, balance in terms of driving your body hard and letting your body regenerate.
Yep.
Sympathetic, parasympathetic, and just, you know, balance mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually is all really important to being successful and really getting to the next level.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thanks, Gerry. Thanks for being on the
My
podcast.
pleasure.
All right, we had that small. Let's stay where you are because I want to do a video.
Okay. Was it good?
Yeah, it was great. I think it's going to be awesome to edit. Yeah. I am just going to do one thing for. What should I ask you for? Reels. It's so hot, by the way.
I know.
I'm dying.
Dying.
I'm like
I
choking.
know, but it looks great. Look what
Yeah,
it looks
no,
like.
It looks really good. It's like fireside chat. Wait, let me. I'll move so that I'll come over there and ask you from over there, so that the fireplace is in the background, but it's like the other way.